Bernie Sanders just got absolutely humiliated on live television, and no amount of yelling and waving his fist at the clouds could save him this time. But before we show you the moment that blew the roof off, don't forget to like, comment, and share this video. You're watching Explain America, where we expose the truth, hold elites accountable, and fight for common sense journalism. Now, the radical socialist left, like Bernie Sanders, has spent decades branding himself as a climate crusader. And he recently showed up on Fox News and got a question that he wasn't quite prepared for.
You know, Alyssa Slotkin, senator from Michigan, she said you shouldn't be using oligarch. It's over people's head. You've gotten criticized from other people. Free Beacon says Bernie Sanders spent $221,000 on private jets fighting the oligarchy tour, paid for by friends of Bernie Sanders. That you've spent millions of dollars in campaign funds on private jet travel over the years. How do you push back on both of those things?
When's the last time you saw Donald Trump during a campaign mode at National Airport?
No. It doesn't. But he's also not fighting the oligarchy.
No. You run a campaign and you do 3 or 4 or 5 rallies in a week. The only way you can get around to talk to 30,000 people. Think I'm going to be sitting on a waiting line at United waiting, 30,000 people are waiting? That's the only way you can get around. No apologies for that. That's what campaign travel is about. We've done it in the past. We're going to do it in the future.
And you think that this is hitting a mark? You think it's scratching the itch that voters want to hear from?
I think at a time when the people on top are doing phenomenally well, when seniors, working class people are struggling, people want to hear action to stand up to the people who have the wealth and the power and create an economy that works for all of us, not just the people on top.
Well, Senator Sanders, I appreciate you coming on, talking about the issues, and we'll have you back.
Thank you very much, Brett.
Thank you. Up next, a major...
Now, this came out of Bernie Sanders' so-called Fighting the Oligarchy tour. Very unusual name for a tour when we have millionaires who are at the forefront of it. Now, Sanders spent over $220,000 on private jets with this tour, but his campaign has dumped millions more into elite travel over the years. And what's his excuse again? Think I'm going to be sitting on a waiting line at United? Well, that's not fighting the system. That is being part of the system. Bernie didn't even try to hide it. He just admitted that it's inconvenient to fly commercial when thousands of people are waiting to hear him complain about millionaires, well, billionaires in his case, because, he pushed the goalpost after he started making 7 figures on his deals. But here's the truth. This isn't about hypocrisy anymore. This is about fraud. If these radical socialists actually believed what they said, that every ounce of carbon is pushing humanity towards extinction, then flying private would be considered genocidal. They say climate change is an existential threat, then they hop on luxury jets spewing CO2 all over the globe. AOC has done the same. Just look at her here, and Bernie Sanders and herself just cavorting around, lecturing about the climate crisis on private jets. If it wasn't so ridiculous, it would just be hilarious. They're spending thousands of dollars per hour in jet fuel while lecturing the rest of us about cow farts and paper straws. Let's be sure, nobody denies climate changes. It always has, and it always will. Now, they don't really believe that this is an existential threat that will end humanity and kill baby polar bears. We've been going on decades of this kind of rhetoric. Manhattan is not underwater. The Arctic actually saw ice growth in recent years. So clearly climate changes. Now, nobody's denying that. We've had Saharan desertification for over 10,000 years. The Gobi Desert in China has seen the same process. Greenland used to be green during the medieval warming period. So it's time to start really holding to account these people who are spouting this climate crisis rhetoric, because they're coming across as grifters who are really only interested in power and more of our money and control. They are acting more like fanatics than reasonable scientific skeptics, which science is about skepticism. The fact is, there are almost 99% fewer deaths today from natural disasters than there were 100 years ago. That means that humanity, really, what we should be concerned with, is benefiting from being better protected from natural disasters and climate change due to mass transportation and technological innovation and communication systems. So, adapt? Sure. Be hysterical? No. And give the unaccountable elites like Bernie Sanders and AOC more power, money, and control over our lives? Never. This has been Kyle Becker with Explain America.